I'm Nathan Gray. I'm the founder of House Factory Foundation and the project lead of EcoBrick US. And I'm going to be talking about EcoBricks today. EcoBricks are it's a plastic water bottle packed tightly with soft, non-recyclable plastics. So these are the film plastics, your vegetable wrappings, the frozen food fruit bags, the cereal bag inserts, the chips, a lot of anything that's crinkly and crunchy, things that is pliable and not hard. And then those are the types of things that fit right inside the EcoBrick. The idea of the EcoBrick is to steward our plastic waste properly. It's not a full-scale solution. It's not something that's going to solve in itself the plastic waste global crisis, but the idea of it is that we can all contribute with a simple yet effective solution. And I use it as an education tool, and I'll get more into that in a bit. But what I'm going to teach you today is more about an EcoBrick and how they're used and how they can be built with. So you could start your own project or contribute your completed EcoBricks to us. I'm going to do a demonstration on the actual making of an EcoBrick to include the standards that we accept them as, because we have 8 different drop-off locations. We need to stay uniformed in all of the EcoBricks that everyone's making from home. It makes our process a lot easier here when they're made to the way that we expect them. And I'm going to do this through a presentation and showing you physically how to do it. So let me pull up my screen here and share my screen. Of course, it goes to the different screen. All right, if someone wants to just kind of chime in real quick and make sure that I'm good on the technical end, is my first slide up?
I can see it just fine, Nathan.
Great, thank you. Just got to make sure we get through that part. All right, so EcoBrick US, that's the website, ecobrick.us. It's www.ecobrick.us. So you can find out more information there. And I try to keep up to date with it. There's a lot about the education of plastic waste and such. So I've kind of already introduced myself. I'm Nathan Gray, the House Factory Foundation founder and EcoBrick project lead. And not only do I work with plastic waste, I also am focused in on affordable, innovative, and sustainable housing. And that's how this project has kind of come to terms, because of that innovative, sustainable, and affordable aspect of the housing. So as Jenny mentioned, this is from 2018, pretty close on the numbers that she mentioned earlier. But the essence of it is we're in a global plastic waste crisis. It's a large problem. It's something that we can see tangibly by walking down the street and looking on the side of the road, or driving by the plastic stuck in trees, or taking a simple walk. And if you do pick it up, you could collect a 5-gallon bucket quite easily, depending on where you go. So it's not just in other countries that this is happening, though they do seem to be getting it worse than we do here. But at the same time, it is settling in on a lot of people, and I'm sure everyone here is also feeling that effect and looking for that kind of next step of what they can take. And that's what I hope this webinar can provide you, is something tangible that you can set out doing right after we finish with this presentation. All right, so it's just kind of our actions that we're trying to take throughout the entire kind of global look of the plastic waste, trying to make it harder for the production of plastic and making recycled plastic waste more valuable. There's all these large scale solutions that we like to work on, as well as not just making the EcoBrick, but also using our minds and computers and joint efforts and legal jargon and everything else to help to eliminate this problem that we're facing. So we use the eco brick, and like I said, the housing. That was the idea of it. That's where we started, and it's incredible how far the eco brick has actually taken us. I was quite surprised by the amount of just the amount of people interested in the project, and we started off in just 2 schools, and it's really expanded since. Um, but the idea is to use these eco bricks within building, because of the rent and purchasing being extraordinarily high at these times. We're trying to find different solutions to bring down the price of the housing and waste, and something that's bountiful, and something that's um, lots of words there, but we just have so much of it. Why can't we use it inside of housing, right? Um, so that's it there. This is more. All right. So I've talked a little bit about what an actual eco brick is. Um, here are on the slide, you can see um, a bunch of eco bricks put together in a modular. They're all silicone together using 100% silicone. And we'll get into a little bit more details. And to really get into the actual building, I'm gonna leave it open to the other workshop that we do that's more hands-on and the actual building of the eco bricks, but I'm going to touch on everything here, and I just wouldn't have the time to get into it all. So I'll give you the verbiage here and let you see it on the screen before I get into actually doing it. But we're going to use 16 to actually accept 16 to 20 ounce plastic bottles now. So it's anything from single-use water bottle to a soda bottle or Gatorade bottle or Powerade bottle, not to give any undue name dropping there. But the idea is that we can use the water bottles that are used in our area quite frequently. So we're going to need one of those water bottles, and the water bottles also need to be 7 to 9 inches in height from the bottom to the top. Like I said, we collect them from all over, not only all over the Northeast, but across the U.S., where people ship them from other states. And so we really need to keep that consistent, or we get stuck with water bottles, or pretty much just water bottles and plastic. We can't do anything with them, and so we have to start the whole process over. So we're going to need a stick or something to pack it into. We're going to need the stick is what we pack the plastic into, and of course we're going to need the plastic as well. And when these are done, they need to be at least 5 ounces in weight. And so here's a great example of how much plastic actually fits inside an eco brick. I love going to schools and talking to the kids, and I bring a whole bag of 5 ounces of plastic, and it actually fills up about the size of a grocery bag, a plastic grocery bag. And I talk to them and I say, how much plastic do you think could fit in here? And I'll take out a handful. Is it this much? 2 handfuls? This much? To keep going, and then eventually dump the whole bag on the ground and show them how much plastic actually goes in there. And this picture represents 3 eco bricks of plastic on that picnic table there. It's quite amazing how much goes through there. Again, I bring it back to the kids because I'm quite passionate about going to schools and teaching, trying to help educate the next generation and all of this. But they always think they're done. Am I done? Am I done? You go around and you pack it down even more, and they really realize how much plastic waste gets in there. So there's a video here that we're not going to play today, just on the Zoom. It can get tied up a little bit. All right, and I'm going to leave this slide here, and we're going to get into making an actual eco brick. So I'm going to stop the screen share. I am back, alive and in action. All right, so these eco bricks, give me a moment to set up here. A little bit too much light. So these eco bricks, these are ones that, this is solid. This is really, really hard. This is a great eco brick. This one, I've got my little scale over here. This is a kitchen scale that can be bought. This one's from CVS, and it's a great way to weigh out the eco bricks. Any kind of kitchen scale will do. Doesn't have to be any specific name brand. But this one here is 10.7 ounces. So it can be done. It can be done. You'd just be amazed by how much it weighs. And then if you have like this one, you can squeeze really hard, doesn't make any noise. And here's a one that's less. It's about 3 ounces, and it bends and it crinkles. And this is not what we're going for. We're looking for the completed EcoBrick to be about this. All right, so we've got our plastic, and we keep it in these bags here to help reduce any kind of mold or water. If you do participate in a paid plastic waste pickup, it's just really important to have the plastic dry. But this is a way that we can help. So here's some plastic here. This stuff can be torn. I'm going to give you different examples of what goes in there because that's a common question. These are bags from the grocery store, the produce. Here's a flexible, kind of looks like something that would go around a kid's toy for packaging, product packaging that can be cut up and put in there. So we've got just regular clear stuff. Though we do work with this in another way, we can use this as well. It doesn't matter if it's compostable. It doesn't matter what type of plastic, 1 through 7, as long as you could essentially put any type of plastic in there, but it's just hard to cut up, and we're trying to do this from home, so we want to stick to the softer plastic. Here's some pasta and looks like some kind of bread bag of some sort, and then here's your freezer bags. So all these types of plastic are going to be cut up and put into the bottle. So of course I grab one that's a little bit harder here, and I don't have my scissors in front of me, but anyway, we'll get there. The best way to do this is to have the plastic be the size of your hand, and I'm just using a metal rod here that I stuffed EcoBricks to tear into the plastic so I can rip it. The idea of the plastic size is if I try to take this whole bag and stuff it inside of the bottle, what's going to happen is it's going to just get jammed in there and not really be able to get through that small opening. This one that's made really well, I'm going to get close to the screen here and show you the size of the plastic. It actually looks like it's almost cut up to confetti. This is if you do have problems getting to the 5 ounces, I definitely recommend cutting up your plastic really small. And once you cut it up to that smaller size, you'll find it a lot easier to get into the bottle. And so we're going to start by just taking the plastic pieces and putting them inside the bottle. I use 2 fingers to kind of push them in over and over. Another way of doing it is you could start it off, and then I have different examples of rods here to poke things in. You could start by putting it there, and then you could then push it into the bottle. And then I'll grab another type of, you can use a wooden spoon to put this plastic in there. You get creative, anything that fits in there. We have a fancy leftover piece of brass piping that we put a T-top on, and that's a great, fits right in there, and then it gives you something up top. This is a workout. The idea of the EcoBricks, as I mentioned, as being an education tool, is that it makes you think differently about your plastic waste consumption. So when you're at the grocery store and you're going down the aisles and you're looking at the different packaging and stuff, and your arm is still sore from that EcoBrick that you made last night, it really makes you think about your choices in plastic. And that's the idea, is that not only do we want to steward the plastic that we can't avoid, we also do want to reduce the amount of plastic, if not eliminate the amount of plastic that we consume. So here we are, just keeping stuff in the bottle. You can do this while you're watching TV. You can do this while you're watching sports, watching your grandkids, I don't know, so many different things you could do. Anytime you have time, you can keep it on the side of your sink there. If you, that's what we do. We like to just keep one by the side of the sink, clean up the plastic as it comes through, as we open it, clean it in the sink, wash it, dry it, and then put it right in the bottle. It's not the neatest of things. You always have plastic around if you have a large household. I wish I could be the guru of plastic and tell you that I don't consume any, but that's unfortunately not the case. So here we are at a point where we're trying to put in more plastic and it's kind of pushing back at itself, right? So we've got all this plastic all the way up to the top and it's getting hard to put in the top. So this is where the packer rod really comes in. So the idea is to push down the plastic all the way down to the bottom. And I didn't start with a solid color on the bottom of this one. It is ideal if you can get, these ones are white, like this one's really colorful and then this one's white. And then you can see behind me, there's multiple colors there. So here I am, not doing what I'm telling everyone else to do. So you want to have a solid color at the bottom, ideally. And then the idea is to not just push, get this right angle here, not just push down in the center, it's going to bounce back up. But the best way of doing it is moving your packer rod to the sides and pushing down on the sides all the way around. And that really, it just lets it fold over on itself. And as you can see, it's not bouncing back up right now. That's kind of the key, is to go on the sides, not just in the center. It really packs down better. And I'm holding it right now, but as I get into this more and really put some more plastic in there, I put it right down on the tabletop. And like I said, this part comes in handy because if you had just a metal rod, you can imagine what this will do to your hands over time. So you can really lean down and push it in there, and it does take a lot of work. And honestly, the first Eco Bricks will probably take you about an hour to do. So it's quite a process. But I do know people that can get them done in 10 or 20 minutes or so. How am I doing on time? What do we have for time? I don't want to go too far here.
You've taken about, we've got about 25 minutes in, so you've got about 35 minutes to go. We'd love to have time for questions.
Great. Thank you. All right. So we talked about an Eco Brick. We talked a little bit of what it's used for. We talked about the global plastic waste crisis that is leading us to come up with these type of solutions. And now we can get into what do we actually do with them? How do we build with them? And what happens once you complete one, and where do you put it and what do you do with it and such. So I'm going to share my screen again here. And what you can do with your completed Eco Brick is you can put it inside of a Eco Brick collection bin. And we have our bins in 8 different locations now. In Marblehead, since this is a Marblehead organization that's hosting this, there's one at the transfer station. And then there's also one at Maze, which is downtown, and I should have the address, but I'll get back to that for the exact address to that one as well. But you can look right on the website at the ecobrick.us and see where that location is. Moving on to the next slide here, potentially. Here's another picture of an Eco Brick collection bin. This one's at Salem High School. And it has this sign on there too. It talks about the plastic waste problem, and then the bottom part is the solution of the Eco Brick and what we can do with it. So after you make these eco bricks and you make sure that they're 16 to 20 ounces, 7 and 9 inches in height, and at least 5 ounces, though we want to get 8, 9, 10, 11. I have one that I made all the way up to a pound, which is a task, but it can be done. For those of you looking for a challenge that have been doing this for a while, there's got to be some kind of prize that I can think up of if you bring me a 1 pound eco brick. And so you make this at home. If you don't have water bottles, it's a common thing, common misconception, in my opinion, is that you don't have the access to water bottles. They're everywhere. They are everywhere, just like all the plastic. Ask your neighbor, ask someone you work with, call me, text me, shoot me an email. I'll get you water bottles. They are out there. There's so many people that will just drop them off at your house. It's really an easy task to do. So don't let that stop you. And you want to take your clean, dry plastic, save that from any plastic you're consuming, or if you're not consuming enough and you have more time, or you can handle more, maybe you talk to your family, your friends, or neighbors, coworkers, and collect their plastic. And then you can make these eco bricks. And you drop them off at the different locations, and then we go around once a month and pick them up. And so then once we collect them, right now we're focusing on, I'm going to stop sharing my screen here and take you for a little ride. Be prepared for, I'm going to try to keep you stable, but just in case if you're feeling a little woozy. All right. So there's an eco brick collection sign that's on our bins. And what we're doing with the eco bricks is we're putting them inside of these large modular panels and walls. We are going to use 17 of them. They're going to get connected together side by side, all the way for 20 feet. These are 4x8 panels, so this is just your typical construction measurements, 4 feet wide by 8 feet tall here in the US anyway. I know that we did have some global signups, but that's just our typical construction measurements. And it's going to be 8 feet wide by 20 feet long. And we're going to use these panels on the side and on the roof and on the ceiling. And what we do to get them in here is we lay them out on a table. I have a table on the other side of our workspace here, and we put them down. If you can imagine this laying horizontally instead of being vertical, and we insert all the eco bricks, and we have been siliconing them all together in between to hold them tight. It does get costly for the silicone. They're about, a good silicone will cost you $7 to $10 a tube, and we go through 3 or 4 tubes at least to put together this 730 eco brick wall. So what we've been experimenting with is just leaving them loose, and then we will use the plastic waste. This one's a little bit dirty here. Give me a moment. All right. And then what we're doing is taking that plastic and inserting it in between the eco bricks. And if anyone is looking for anything to do, you can come on by and come stuff some plastic into the wall. Normally we only accept plastic when it's paid for, or help keep our operations going, or if it's inside of a completed eco brick. But if you want to come and stuff it in the wall, we'll accept that too. And the idea is to not only hold the eco bricks really tight together, it really, once you stuff it in there, as you do with the eco brick in the water bottle, it really gets compact and expands, of course. And so this is the same idea, and this will allow the eco bricks to sit in there a little bit better. And on the other side, there's plywood, so that would just go up there. And then, of course, this adds to the insulation value too, and we're excited to do experiments with that, though we don't know exactly what the insulation value is. It's a common question, but we don't know what it is. We have looked into doing an R value test, but because the eco brick is not only different sizes, made to different densities, made with different plastics, and so tall, where typical insulation is measured in inches. Your fiberglass and your spray foam and your rigid foam are all measured per inch. That R value is a per, depending on how wide it is. They just give you whatever R value it is, but the idea is to measure the heat on one side and on the other, and it's just really tricky to do with an eco brick. It just doesn't fit in the common machines that do R values. But once we do have them all up and all packed with plastic in between, we can then do some kind of experimenting and such to see how much heat stays inside, see how much it costs to heat a building throughout the winter. So this is just our kind of traveling one. We bring this around to different schools. We teach at schools, and you can bring this and have it as a backdrop. These ones stay at the shop and get collected to make the kind of tiny house, but it has to be a shed because it doesn't using plastic waste and typical building. It's not in the code. You can't build with it. It's just not in the code. So we use inside of a shed. And essentially with the eco bricks, and when you're talking about building, I'm just going to grab a couple eco bricks right here. Whoop, there goes one. Good thing they're nice and solid. These ones are made right. All right. So the idea is they're kind of, they're oblong. They don't really fit well together. The pattern that those ones are in is they're stacked like this, right? So for every 2 to 1, one sits in the middle, and it just can continue to do that. There is other ways to build with them together. You can just go the solid way. Here's an example of some more put together, and these are just silicone together. I'll get into the silicone in a second and the adhesives, but these ones, as you can see, are stacked vertically and horizontally, where the wall behind me is offset by 1 bottle at a time, and that holds tighter for sure. There's more connection points, and it brings it really together, but this is another way to do it. So this can be used for a tabletop. You could use just simple plexiglass. I have it on the other side, but like this type of material here that you can see through. Obviously not with this whole rod here, but you could put the plexiglass right on top, and that would become a table. Another way of not using any other, maybe trying to just use 100% recycled material. Maybe you can use plexiglass or not, but you can also fill these holes with the plastic waste as well, and that allows for it to really be more of a sturdy tabletop if you're going to use it for that. Maybe you get some pallet wood and cut that down. We have some pieces of our offcuts of our, these are actually bottle caps, believe it or not, but we'll get into that in a minute too. I don't have 4 of them here, and they're not sitting perfectly straight, but the idea is really anything can be used as you get creative with it. There we go. Right. Of course, the screen's a little too high. And I'm not going to drop you. Not going to drop you. There we go. There we go. There's an end table. I just have to put legs on it. So it's an easy solution there. With this type of construction, with this type of building, they do come apart with silicone. It's not like an ultimate way of doing it. If you go to ecobrick.org, they have other methods with recycled bike tubes or inner tubes, and there's a way to wrap it around on each one. It's pretty complex, but it does work, and it holds it all together as well. And the best way that I found is just encasing it in wood. So as these are encased in wood, they have framing around them. So if you took these bottle caps I think are 7 inches. So that would bring us to a 2x8 or even a 1x8, and you could put that around the edges and screw that together, and that would hold them. That would be more of your framing. Give it some, make it a lot more solid. To explain a little bit better visual, if this was a little bit wider, you could put it around like this, encase it inside of it, and that would give you a really nice looking. Well, look at that. I feel like things are the perfect size. I might have to reuse these last cut-off pieces for encasing one of these. So other ways to use EcoBrick is inside of garden walls, retaining walls. You could build with them this way, and they could be used in exterior garden walls using cob, which is a mud or clay, straw and sand combination. It's a mortar, but without the lime and concrete, without the lime and Portland cement. And the benefit of building with cob is that it's essentially earth and dirt, number one, so really sustainable. And it doesn't, if you were to set these in concrete, the idea of it is that you want to be able to reuse these plastic waste. Now they're saying 400 years, they were saying 200 years. Either way, it's still hundreds of years. So it's probably going to outlast your project. And it's a thin water bottle, so you want to be able to properly steward your plastic waste, not just for your generation, but for the following generations. And just thinking about when you build with it, how can it keep its integrity? You know, how are we not going to lose it? So if we left it out in the sun for too long, and the reason why I like the plexiglass on top of these too is you can buy the UV protection plexiglass. It's just like in a regular glass, and you can eliminate like 99% of the UV rays, which will break down the plastic. So I like that idea. And then if you encase the side of it with wood, then that protects it as well, and it just lasts for a lot longer. And so really just whatever you can think of. I mean, I've seen them in walkways. We've walked on those ones before, and especially when you stuff the plastic in between, they can be used as walkways. It's just you want to think about the impact of walking on them constantly in the weather and such. Yes, I'm not claiming to be an expert builder in all of things with these. I know that there was some other people that signed up that are actually using the EcoBricks inside of schools and in other places. So I just encourage you to keep looking online for different ways of building with them. And so the idea is that we are going around teaching in schools about EcoBricks. We're talking about plastic pollution, or having the kids build them right in school. So I encourage you to share all of that with people if this hit home at all, and something you can see your kids doing. Talk to the teachers or principals, and we appreciate that. And it helps to fund the project as well. And just going to we're going to go to questions here. Yeah, go to questions here in a bit. I just want to show you some of the stuff that we're working on. Working with other plastic waste using these machines on the side that you saw. They're shredding machines. This is Precious Plastics is the company that has open sourced plans. You can build them right at home, or you can pay someone to build them like we did. But what we're using a lot of is bottle caps. So we're getting the bottle caps in. We're sorting them into different colors and types, and we're shredding them down, and we're making things with them through, trying not to move too fast here. So we've got this machine here, which it melts the plastic inside of there. You set the temperature, and what it does is it makes with molds that attach to the bottom things like this, like plastic tiles. So all these tiles can be used in at your house, or backsplashes, or your shower, or any kind of wet location. And with this machine here, it's an oven, and it's just a commercial oven set up with a timer and a new temperature gauge, and it's a jack, and we're using this mold here to make bowls. So we melt the plastic down. These just yellow plastic bottle caps and multicolored plastic bottle caps. We're even using dog food bags. We're using the feed bags, the dog food bags, and making dog bowls out of them. They can be planters. We're doing with chicken food bags. And so over here is an extruder machine. The shredded plastic, which looks like this. Those are just clear colors there. We're kind of starting to get a little bit low on it. But we put inside the hopper. It comes through this extruder, and it comes out to a mold. And here's a large piece that came out of this machine. And again, this is made out of all bottle caps, green bottle caps. So it's quite impressive of what these machines can do. And we're making park benches with them, and you can check on my Facebook page. I have a lot of things on there, and try not to get you too dizzy here. Again, spinning you around. Here's the EcoBrick collection bin that we've been working on. It's not completed just yet, but the idea is that you put your completed EcoBricks inside of the bin, and this is made with all. Here's a plastic waste shot. Look at it all. It's made with the boards, the bottle caps, and the backsplash here is the tile. So this can be used, like I said, as tile and different signs and such. Here's some more bottle caps, sorted ones. And then we have another machine over there, which is a sheet press. We can make 4x4 sheets of plastic waste. This is a shot. All right, so as I bring you back over here, thank you for hearing me out on the other things. I know you're here for EcoBricks, but hopefully pique some interest there too. Jenny, if we could kind of have you compiled a bunch of the questions. And
yeah, we have a few questions here. First of all, thank you very much for that. That was great. And I was going to suggest that you put up the slide of the park benches. Do you have? I think you have a slide that shows those.
Yeah. Yep. I can. I've got the Facebook page right here. All right. Can you see the Facebook page?
We can.
Okay. There's that. There's the bench that I just posted about.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was quite a nice bench. I thought it would be appropriate to show.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. The benches are a great way to do that. Backsplashes, different class things. Here we go.
Great. Thank you.
Yep. Yeah,
and are those in Lynn?
These ones are going to Lynn. Yeah, the city of Lynn is putting on their pathway, and they're made out of all bottle caps. And they're also, all the stuff that you saw, all these products are available on our online store.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's great.
You can go outside of different. It really brings awareness if you put it outside of a commercial space, so the city gets involved. Maybe they have a collection bin, an EcoBrick collection bin made out of the plastic waste, or one of these benches. It's a great way to get the word out.
Yes. Well, thank you. Yes, we have quite a few questions. First of all, right at the beginning, when you were talking about the size of bottles, we got a bunch of questions about if you could clarify, is it an 8-ounce bottle or is it a larger bottle that you need to put 5 ounces in? What is the weight for the bottle size?
Yeah, so the bottle size, our bottle sizes here in the US are measured in ounces. So if you can fall within 16 to 20 ounces, and then we have to go for the height, because the ounces, because it could be a really wide bottle or a flat bottle. So we're looking for 16 to 20 ounce bottles, and then the height from the bottom to the top, 7 to 9 inches in height. And then the 5 ounces is the completed weight of the eco brick. So it doesn't have anything to do with the original bottle, but it's once it's completed, it has to be at least 5 ounces. We really want to get it more, but at least 5 ounces.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clarifying that. I wanted to clarify also, I think you were, when you said the other site in Marblehead besides the 5 Woodfin Terrace where the transfer station is McRae's, and they're at 108 Washington Street, where you can drop off completed eco bricks as well.
Yeah, they've been a great help. What an awesome store.
Yes, everything they have there is reusable, and they don't do any plastic. So we're definitely advocates of using the things in their store. I'm looking. Someone has suggested that if you are having trouble finding water bottles, just go around to everyone's recycle bin on recycle day and pick them up.
I get asked that question way too often, as you can probably tell.
Yeah. And if could you just clarify again, if the eco bricks are exposed to the sun too much, do they break down?
Yeah, anything's gonna break down in the weather, but our cars are made of plastic. You know, it's not steel anymore. It's not fiberglass. Our kids' toys are great things. Are tarps to think about, right? You think about kids' toys, you think about tarps. If it's left in the sun for multiple seasons, you leave it out for a winter, it looks different. It does break down. And the water bottles are really thin, so it is a concern. It's something that we want to be aware of when we're using them. Like all of our eco bricks and our walls are going to be on the interior. They're not exposed to the exterior. The exterior is going to be siding, probably this plastic bottle caps boards,
Yeah.
that are much more can handle the weather. Yeah, it's an issue. So we just want to be aware of where we're putting it, because we don't want to open up and then go back into the environment. That's the worst case scenario. We don't want that.
Right. Exactly. When you were talking about putting additional stuffing in between bottles, we got a question about whether soy-based insulation might be an effective filler between the bottles.
Yeah, we've been experimenting with that too. This is a soy-based insulation that we used to kind of encase the bottles. So that is a great way. We're trying to keep it. We kind of get directed by other people too, and other influences, and we have our meeting of the minds, and introducing another product that's not I know it's safer, it's soy based, but it's not plastic waste that we're taking out of the mainstream, taking out of the environment. So it kind of brings on a new thing. But as far as like being a builder, that seems great to me, because I can get great insulation out of it, less money for heating bills and such. But we're hoping the plastic in between the bottles does the same thing.
Okay, great. Are you collecting plastic bottle caps, and if so, where and for your projects?
Yeah, we're about to do another drive. The city of Lynn's going to buy some more benches, so there's going to be a drop off. We haven't really worked it out specifically. And then Unpack Living in Beverly has a bench outside of their location now, and they're going to do another one. So we're working on doing a drive through them, and anyone else that kind of signs up with a commercial space that has a good location for the bench and also sell the products. Then we're doing a program where they collect 500 pounds of plastic waste, and then we give them a bench for free, because that helps us collect it. But right now, no, unfortunately, we're not. But hold on to them, because there's going to be a lot more coming through the pipeline.
And is it pretty much any kind of plastic bottle cap? Can it be the plastic caps that are on milk cartons, and can it be the plastic bottle caps that are on, soda?
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get more specific with it, but
and it looks like a yogurt container top, perhaps.
Yeah, there's laundry detergent ones. There's Starbucks, like creamer or something, Gatorade top. That I don't know if that's just different coffee creamers, and all those types of bottle caps. Typically, they're number 1, HD.
Okay.
And they work really well, and they go through the shredder nice and easy too.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is an open sourced shredder? That was another question.
Yeah, so Precious Plastics, definitely encourage you to look them up. They're an open source nonprofit that has a community based uh, business plan that just is open to all their what they learn. So they're global, and you can have the machines built. There's some places we got ours from Oregon, and they're all across the globe. Um, our extruder is the first, I believe, the first in the U.S. Um, it's one of the newest additions, and that's why we're able to do something like these large boards. Um, but yeah, it's a great community. I definitely encourage you to check them out. Precious Plastics.
Precious plastics. Okay, thank you. Thank you. We do have a specific question on yogurt containers because the container is just like the top. Can you collect those and melt those down and use those just as well as the top?
The idea for the caps and the tops is to easily go through the smaller shredders that we currently have. We do want bigger ones, but the caps are just, with the yoga container, it gets stuck in the hopper. Um, so we'd have to cut it, so it's an extra process. So the bottle caps are an easy way. Multiple colors, smaller pieces of plastic. I mean, technically, we can recycle any plastic, and we like to get there at some point, but we just need to get larger machines for that.
So I think you just answered this question, but it was about what about rigid plastics like broken trash cans and things like that? Is there any way that you know of to recycle those?
Yeah, just by shredding them down and turning them into, melting them and turning them into a new product. But it's not something that we're currently doing, but it can be done. There's these larger shredders through Precious Plastics, and they can eat up large pieces. And you could, if you want to do it at home, you can do all this stuff at home too. I love to get into all that, but it's a whole nother topic. But essentially, you're just cutting down the plastic to really small pieces, and you're putting it into a convection oven and compressing it, and you can do it right from home. I'll do it outside just in case you hit the smoke point if you don't know too much about temperatures and types of plastic. But yeah, experiment at home. Just don't.
It sounds like something I'm probably not going to try at home, but
Yeah, I don't know. I like to encourage people to
I'm
try
not that
it.
adventurous. Okay. Let's see. What else have we got here? Let's see. Open source means Precious Plastics shares knowledge of how. Okay, I see. Thanks, Louise. Appreciate your comment. I think that's all of our questions.
I had a question. Well, Kathy Breslin has put in twice. What do you think about ecobricks.org? Is that website reliable? Do you recommend what they have there?
Yeah, I've met most of the crew there. That we do have global communications. I've talked to all different countries about EcoBricks, and I'm constantly trying to collaborate and learn and teach in the global space. And through Zoom has been a great way to be able to do that. And we have collaborated with them as well. They take on a more environmental standpoint. They really, it's like the sequestration of plastic, and they really look at it as they want to get rid of it as much as possible, which I understand. But I'm just trying to come up with a solution here for the amount of plastic we have, and in the shredding and different things they wouldn't agree with because it's machined, but just so much of it right now that we're trying to just come up with a solution as fast as we can. But yeah, they're a reliable source for sure. They've got a different philosophy, I guess, but yeah, I would recommend them for sure.
And I also had one more question. I'm intrigued by the idea of building a shed with EcoBricks. If I wanted a shed like that in my backyard, would you be already building them, or is it still in the experimentation phase?
Yeah, so a shed, the way that I explained it, using the floors and the ceilings and the walls, is going to take 12,000 EcoBricks, and we've been doing this for about 2 years. We were highly focused in schools before the pandemic came, and that slowed things down and such. But it's such a large process. Like these 700 EcoBricks are, it's 730 eco bricks just for one wall. It's taking some time. We are reaching the greater United States now, and people are sending them and such. And so we are able to collect more, but it's tricky. Like I would love to take on and help someone do that, but and then of course it comes down to selling it when people are making them for free and all that stuff. But yeah, reach out to me and we can chat more, I guess, is all I can give you for now.
No, because it's beautiful. I don't know if I guess it would all be covered eventually if you actually built a wall.
Yeah, well, leave it open, obviously, for this stuff, and you could use, yeah, it's hard. You got to cover it somewhat to make sure it doesn't fall out, and a lot of things to kind of think about. But it's nice. You could do a mural. Like pointillism is a great way to think of it as. Is you could, like, we've had a high school spell out their letters of their high school, and put it on a mural on the wall, and you could do different things like that if you were more interested in it as like a showcase piece.
Yeah, I could see that. Art.
Yep. Well, Nathan, this has been, oh wait, we've got a couple more questions that just came in. Boats being made of eco bricks in Central and South America. Kathy has read about that, which is very interesting.
Yeah, it floats. We try to have a Boy Scout troop do it too. They're still collecting the eco bricks, but yeah, they float.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And then Susan Boy has shared that she's hoping the new Voke school in Wakefield, another VOKE Voke schools, will embrace and teach about containing plastics. So it's great that you're going out to schools. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've dealt with all the questions. Thank you very much. I think the tour of your workshop was very, very, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So it's very good to see how you're doing it and get the demonstration. And so we will keep making them in Marblehead and McRae's. I just saw her collection bin 2 days ago. So it's not, I think people are enthusiastic about it.
Yep.
So thank you everyone for joining us. And if you aren't reading our newsletter, please sign up on our website and follow us on social media as well for news. I posted the article from the Lynn item about the benches that Nathan made for the bike trail. And I'm going to venture out there on my bike. They're on a bike trail, right?
They are. They're not fully installed yet, but they will be. Yep.
So we will go and exploring in Lynn to see the benches.
Take a little break, have a seat.
Okay. Thank you very much. So
thank you for having me.
Until next time.
Thank you very much, Nathan.
All right.
Bye.